It's the new infection causing global health concerns, but what is it really? Well, Dr. Helen Kuroki from Women's Care Florida is here to break down everything we need to know about the coronavirus. I feel like it is the buzz that people are wanting to know more, talking about. First off, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Good morning.
Good morning. Always a treat to see you. We appreciate you being here today because this is such a serious topic. I was telling you off camera. I turned on my TV and the first thing you do here, the numbers just continuing to increase. So
That's right.
Let's back up. What exactly is it? Of course, it's the buzzword right now, but what exactly is it?
Coronavirus is part of a family of viruses that cause all kinds of problems, from the common cold to what we heard of a couple of years ago in the Middle East called MERS, a Middle East respiratory virus, to SARS that we heard of in Asia a couple of years back as well. This is a new virus that came out of the middle of China, Wuhan province in China in December, hasn't been identified previously, and is a cause of pneumonia.
You know, you were kind of making some reference to like SARS specifically. Those were all kind of animal originally and then went to human. What do we know so far about the origins of this?
We're still not 100% sure, but we believe this started as an animal source in an open air market in that province in China where people ate an infected animal or animals that caused animal to human transmission. And now we're clear that once a pneumonia or another respiratory illness has been set up, it can be transferred human to human.
You know, one of the things that seems so alarming, at least to me, are so many of the symptoms that you're talking about with this. There are symptoms that we would just chalk up to, oh, I've got a cold, I maybe have the flu. That seems to be the case. How are you able to differentiate between the flu, cold, and now what is the coronavirus?
So the symptoms are very flu-like. You can have a fever above 101, cough, sneeze, runny nose. It can move on to very serious pneumonia requiring hospitalization and maybe even a stay in the intensive care unit. It can cause kidney failure and ultimately, in the most severe cases, go on to cause death. But you're right, it's hard to tell from the flu. And the flu is much more prevalent here than the coronavirus is. And so we recommend, we're still in flu season, that people get their flu shot and protect against that.
It's just so scary when you see the numbers that do continue to increase, which of course is kind of a normal thing as populations and things move out. Let's talk the latest. What do people need to be aware of? Because you say it is not in Florida, it is not near Florida yet, but still.
No cases at all identified in Florida to date, although a few Floridians have been tested. And the governor reports to us that the test came back negative. But having said that, we now see it in 27 countries, mostly in Asia, but it's also in Australia, Europe, and the United States. We have about a dozen cases identified in the United States, mostly on the West Coast, California, Washington State, Arizona. There's been a case identified in Chicago and more recently in Rhode Island.
And it seems like they've got a lot of those quarantined, or at least that people are being hands-on quarantine, the individuals that do have the diagnosis, but still people are like, oh, I have an air flight coming up. How can people protect themselves no matter where they are?
Well, we do ask people to pay attention and not travel if they're sick. In fact, if they're sick, stay home from work as well. And then wash their hands frequently, cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze, and try to stay away from other people that have a respiratory illness so that you don't spread it.
You were very open about the research that you've done when you sat down here on the couch and that you spent a lot of time looking into this. What's the one thing that you want people out there to know of as they're continuing to hear the headlines, we're continuing to hear these numbers increase?
Well, the numbers are significant. In China alone, about 25,000 people are infected, and we've seen more than 400 people die. But in the United States, the presence is not that significant yet. That may change from day to day. We encourage people to keep their eye on the news and be careful about travel. The State Department, the U.S. State Department, has said we should not travel to China at all. And if you're a U.S. citizen living in China, we encourage you to come home. Having said that, here in the United States, get your flu shot, protect yourself from respiratory ailments. If you feel sick, stay home.
Again, I don't think we can stress that enough. Anything else that you want to point out in closing? Of course, I know you can stay up to date. All of the Women's Care Florida resources are there to help people as well.
That's right. So to date, we care for pregnant patients. So we have only seen one baby born to a mom who was infected in China where the baby was born with coronavirus. We've seen several other cases where the baby was not infected. So we don't have a clear idea yet at how transmissible this is through pregnancy. But again, one of the take-home messages is flu is more prevalent here. It's still active flu season. get your flu shot.
And you were even saying people are asking if their animal can get it because it was an animal origin originally, right?
That's right. We're not entirely sure what the animal origin may have been, but your pets here in the United States should not be a problem.
Interesting. Lots of information out there. We're glad that you can navigate it and come
My
on our
pleasure.
show and talk about it. And of course, if you have questions or more looking for women's care help, well, Women's Care Florida, the definite resource for you. There's the website you see on the screen. Again, Dr. Croakey, it's always a treat to see you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.